Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. Well, it's Saturday. So it's time for that weekly pilgrimage to the grocery store. And as the casino goes, how much am I going to spend this week? Right? Now, fortunately, at least for me and Mrs. P, who we pretty much buy the same stuff every week when we go. We kind of joke too when we go to the grocery. It's, how much did we spend? And I look at her and I say, guess. And she says, $160. And I'm like, pretty damn close. Because that's where we've been for our grocery shopping on a weekly basis. Or, I won't say weekly. It's about every 10 days we go. For months now. And okay, what do we have to buy? I mean, it's milk and cheese, some chicken, maybe some pork, thereabouts. We don't have to buy beef. Obviously, I got a cow in the fridge, okay, or in the freezer. But, it's your staples. We'll get some sodas. She'll usually pick up something in the bakery or something. Just your basic stuff. $160 for 10 days. Okay. So that means we figure out, as I mentioned maybe about a month ago, calculating by the day, we spend about $16 a day for food for the two of us. Some days are cheaper to eat. Some days are more expensive. Depends, Go buy a chuck roast, which we like to eat. That's more expensive. Okay. But only have so many roasts out of a cow. But it brings up an interesting point about inflation, about a recession. And you look at the inflation numbers that came out this week, and they were kind of a mixed bag. I mentioned this on Tuesday's live stream, I think, that month over month they were up, but year over year inflation was down. It's okay. And I mean, again, based on CPI numbers, which I'm still convinced are just pulled out of the middle of nowhere. Gas prices. Okay. Gas prices are up in the last couple of months. Notice how they spiked right after we bombed Iran, and they didn't drop. Interesting. I mean, they literally spiked in a day, and they haven't dropped. Okay, what's going on? So when you look at inflation, food is, even though CPI says it's up, I'm going to say it's stable. Gas prices, I'm going to say, are slightly up. Everything else is down. Rent is down, mortgage rates are down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're not seeing the, oh my God, the terrifying effects of terrifying, right? Actually, it's working, albeit small, but we're not seeing the hike in prices, at least not on the stuff that I'm buying, and certainly not on the stuff that the American public is buying, because you're not hearing any screams about prices going up. Sure, there are certain things. I saw a story yesterday, day before, where, I don't remember if it was the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or something, went to a bunch of Walmarts in New Jersey and was comparing prices. And they did find a set of pots and pans that the price had gone up, and not much else. Okay, that pretty much everything was staying the same. So then it comes to the spin and what people will believe, what people won't believe. I'm sorry, I'm going to believe what I see with my own two eyes. What money comes out of my checkbook. That's what I'm going to believe. But you get all these people, we're going into a recession, blah, blah, blah. 2 quarters of negative GDP means we're in a recession, and the first quarter was negative GDP. Okay. May I remind you why GDP was down in the first quarter? Because most people don't even know how GDP is calculated, all right? GDP was down in the first quarter of this year because there were so many government employees who produce absolutely nothing but still get a paycheck that lost their jobs. And remember, GDP is a collective sum of all the goods and services in the country. Less people getting paid means the top line number is down. Okay? So when you get rid of all these useless government employees, all right, the top line number is going to be down, the GDP is going to be down. That's why GDP was bad. You know, you go back to Twitter, if you will, when Elon Musk bought it, and he cut 90% of the employees at Twitter. And if somebody didn't tell you that, you wouldn't have even known, because nothing changed. The platform worked just as well. Government is the same thing. We cut a boatload of people in useless, money-sucking jobs that did nothing, and nothing changed. I mean, honestly, tell me this. Has any of your interaction with the government changed at all in 6 months? The hold times at the IRS are still ridiculous. Mail still shows up late. You know, Social Security checks are still making it where they need to be. We're still pissing money away in Ukraine. Okay, nothing's changed. Yet we got rid of a whole bunch of useless employees. That's called smart business, which is exactly how the government should be run, like a business. You take money in, you effectively spend it, and whatever's left is the quote-unquote profit. Except the government should be a zero-sum game. Unfortunately, they're a negative $37 trillion sum game. So it's gone to the public. What are the odds that we go into a recession? This will begin to tell you how idiotic the American public is. 17%. It's the lowest we've been. 19%. It's the lowest we've been in like 30 years on how many people expect us to go into a recession. Last time we were in trouble was, about the time Bill Clinton was president. Okay. Last time that people were this pessimistic. It's funny how that number is so similar to the approval rating of Democrats. So that still tells you roughly 1 in 5 people in this country have their heads so far in the sand that no matter what, Trump is bad, Republicans are bad, Democrats are good, okay? The Democrats could start World War III, Democrats are good. I mean, that's about it. Looking at the facts, 6 months into a new administration at this point, I mean, we'll hit 6 months, this weekend? For some goofy reason, economically, what everybody said was going to be a disaster is working. We're not cutting as much fat from the government as we'd like, but we cut some. Got to start somewhere. We're not deporting as many illegals as fast as a lot of us hoped, but we're getting rid of them. The economy's getting better. Inflation is, 2.6, 2.7%. Okay. I know I've said before, healthy inflation is around 2, healthy inflation is basically the made-up term that keeps the Rothschilds rich, okay, just to give you that as an idea. And I think I've talked before about how the Fed actually works, and how the Illuminati, or whoever you want to call them, manipulates monetary policy around the world. But yeah, the 2% is normal. Let's put it this way, it's target. We're not going into a recession. The economy is stabilizing. It was funny watching Bloomberg yesterday, Bloomberg Financial. It's what I watch in the mornings when I'm doing all my stuff. And I was starting to hear analysts calling the beginning of a new bull market. Interesting that we're at the beginning of one. We're at all-time highs for the market. And this is the beginning of a new bull market, meaning we're going up, okay? Means at least, as so many people try to compare the stock market to the economy, it's not. The stock market is basically telling people the sentiment of the public. If we're at the beginning of a bull market, that means the public, the investing public, whether that's uber wealthy or Joe Wrench-Turner putting money in his 401k, thinks the market's going to go up. Means they're optimistic about the country. That's sentiment. That's the good thing. If we have a positive outlook on where we're going, based on the facts we have, that people aren't whining about how crazy food is, though I saw something last week about ground beef is now $6.67 a pound on average across the country. Thank God I have a cow. Okay. We're getting better. Now if we can somehow figure out how to get wages up, that would be good. The simple solution to that one is stop paying these CEOs $600 million a year. I think they could live fine on $100 million a year and use the other $500 million to pay the employees. But that's just me, okay? No, I'm not one of these people that believes the CEO should make the same amount of money as the guy who works on the line, okay? But there gets to a point where how much money do you really need? Period. Okay. When Bill Gates can talk about how he's giving all his money to charity, when Warren Buffett can talk about how he's giving all his money to charity, that tells you they've got more than they need. Not that I'm a Bill Gates fan or a Warren Buffett fan. I like Warren Buffett's investment theories, okay, not his politics. But at least I'll give them kudos, not much, Bill Gates, but for helping others, that I'll give you credit for. All your insane stuff about bugs and vaccines, you can kiss my ass. But we're on the right track, I think. It seems to be. Reading the tea leaves, it ain't as fast as we wanted it, but it's working. And maybe the 83% of us who don't have jello for brains will start to see some improvements in our lives. Well, the 17% of the people, 19% of the people continue to bitch left and right because you couldn't make them happy if you handed them the winning lotto ticket. They bitch it wasn't enough. You just won $300 million, but I have to pay taxes on it. Fuck off. Pardon my French. But on this weekend, when you go to the grocery or whatever it is, maybe smile just a little bit, because honestly, we're coming back. Last November, we saved this country. We were on the brink. It ain't perfect. It'll never be perfect. Trump is no God to worship like China worships Xi Jinping. Not by a long shot. But he's at least doing a lot of the right things. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And we're getting better. 2026, 2027, the rallying call may be, America's back, baby. And I'm going to be happy to see it. Pinball